When I was 22, I had the great fortune to go to the Himalayas in India, where I met a master, a kind of mythical person known as Babaji. And the meeting with that great soul changed the course of my trip there in India as much as it changed the course in my life. Because of the way he appeared, I completely changed my intended destination and actually found someone that thought they knew who he was and where he might be staying. So after many hours driving into the mountains, we found him. I had many magical moments with him, some that most would call miraculous, such as when he took uncooked rice and in less than 30 seconds turned it into hot, fresh bread without a stove. A couple days later, there was a massive earthquake, 6.3 earthquake, and the epicenter was in the exact place that I was supposed to be going to before he appeared to me. And hundreds of people were killed there. I spent many peaceful days there, deep in the forest near the cave where he lived. And a couple days after the earthquake, in the morning, I was up on top of a hill overlooking a magical valley. And he approached me with his hands up like this. And I returned in the communication kind of, and I put my hands up. And this went back and forth several times, like this, like this. And then we both started laughing and laughing and laughing. And then I looked up, and where his head had been was now just a ball of light. His head was completely gone. It was just light. Now, since I was very young, I've had many unusual experiences, but this one really impacted me. Another impactful experience I had, and probably the most magical experience I've ever had, was actually when I was a very little boy. I used to sit on the lap of my great-grandmother as she would pray and cry over her rosary beads for hours. She was a Mexican woman, and her family had a huge estate before the Mexican Revolution. They had everything. Yet after the Revolution, they had nothing. And those days that I spent with her on her lap while she prayed her rosary were probably the sweetest experiences of my life. When I sit with my clients, I always expect special experiences to happen. I do everything I can to listen to everything they tell me and to address exactly what they tell me as their main concern. For example, I had, after about an hour of our initial speaking, one of my recent patients, who was also a sound healer, allowed me to put my hands on her. And this was the first time in her life that she ever allowed a man to put his hands on her in a healing process. And when she left, more than half of her problems were completely gone. Another time, there was a medical doctor, and he told me that his wife had a infectious laryngitis. And he asked me to help him because he told me that she was very sensitive to medicines and had never done well with anything that he had given her in the past. So I gave him a few pills from Tibet. I told him the dose is usually 6 pills, but just give her 1. The next day, he told me that she had been up all night long thinking that she had been poisoned. Yet in the morning when she got up, her infection was completely gone. The doctor was astounded, and so was she. I know that when another human being comes to me for healing, that any compassionate interactions I have with them helps to unlock their faith and confidence in their body's own ability to heal itself. I encourage the understanding that the source of all healing actually lies with us and activated through our relationships and through the faith within. Through my experiences in my life, living in several continents and exploring many exotic cultures, I learned many secrets of healing and rejuvenation. I learned that many issues arise when we lose faith and interrupt the body's natural ability to respond. I wrote about all of this in my new book, Principle of Harmony and Healing, Unity in the Mystery and History of Medicine. Thank you.